Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about the song that is my favorite song of all time. But first I'm gonna play it here. Probably. Yeah, that's the one. So that's the song. At least that's the. No, that is the song. That's really what does it for me. Um, Usually it's arranged a little bit better than you know one person with a uh, fake piano with the organ setting on, just banging it out like a violinist. Uh, but there's just something about that melody, and I'm not sure quite exactly all what it is. Um, but I'd like to talk through what it might be because it's interesting, kind of how we talk about favorite songs. Um, as a concept. Oh, what's your favorite song? I don't know what is this week. I mean, I haven't heard any good ones in a while. Like some people are like that, where your favorite song is just whatever you've heard most recently, or whatever you resonated with you particularly this month or even year. But for me, it's always going to be that one. Um, Now that tune is called Thaxted, and the work it's originally from is called Jupiter, and the hymn that is commonly set to it is "O God Beyond All Praising," though there are others. I think "O God Beyond All Praising" was the first. But anyway, the tune and the hymn and the work from which the hymn was taken, from which the tune was taken, are all different things. And my first video on this channel was actually a rant where I tried to give draw the lines between them, because it's a distinction that someone was getting wrong, and I was annoyed they were getting it wrong. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do something about this. I'm gonna make a YouTube channel, and I'm going to explain why they're wrong. And so I did, and as far as I know, they never actually watched the video. I mean, I did a thing that was intended to make them watch it, but it probably had the opposite effect because I was extremely bad at communicating. Um, no more specific details than that. That's all you're gonna get. Um, but suffice it to say, I think that the arguments that I made there were not very structured. I I think it's about a 17-minute video, and at one point, I rummage across the room to read the passage from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy about astrology. Um, so that which is like a tangent on a tangent on a tangent. Um, because the basically where the tune comes from is Jupiter by Gustav Holst, which is part of, it's a movement of the Planet Suite, which is you may have heard of Mars Bringer of War, which is where we get ugh, that was wrong note I played afterwards. Anyway, that is where John Williams got a lot of the inspiration for um, the Imperial March from in Star Wars and stuff like that. Holst is he was in like I forget if it was like 1910s or 1920s, somewhere around there. Very about a century ago, and so it was like kind of at the tail end of classical music, or what we would now call classical music, being the main thing, if it even was anymore. Um, Now, just on the edge there, and if you listen to a lot of that stuff, you can even if you're not like musically literate at all, you can tell that he's playing around with a lot of ideas that guys like Bach and Beethoven didn't. A guy pronounced it Bach. I'm so pretentious. Um, anyway, that is also a tangent. Uh, yeah. So why is that my favorite song? Well, I believe that we had to sing it in choir class in seventh grade for there was some mass at the end of the year that we had to be prepared for to sing it. Um, and there were a couple other songs that I can still kind of remember how they go. But this was the only one I that really stuck with me. And I was just thinking about it one day in the car, um, and I thought it was a shame that I was a bad person, because this was a good song, and bad people shouldn't have nice things. Um, and I thought, you know what? I'll try to be a good person for a bit so that I can enjoy this song properly. Um, and I'm not going to tell you how that went, but suffice it to say, um, uh, yeah. But the question is that like that's not why. That's just like a memory. It's an anecdote near why. What is the real reason why? Because I don't know the answer to this. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just talking. Why? What is it with this song that just hits me? I think part of it is when it's unexpected. Because if I play it for you now, there's like almost no magic there. Um, there's this there's this there's this way that it feels in your mind when you're like kind of with different types of music when you listen to it, there's different ways that it makes you feel like you've got a little ferrite shard in your mind that's like pointing in different directions like a magnet. um, and some songs make it feel like with some songs you're leaning into them. With some songs it's just too much, you're kind of like leaning back and letting it wash over you. Sometimes you're I guess that's about it, but there's more. Um, it feels like you're take anything you're consuming with any sense really, but especially just pure sound like that. Um, that you have these immediate these continuous micro emotional responses or emotional micro responses. There we go. And this micro response is like you feel a certain way based on each note, and most most music, especially of the last century, has this kind of and older I should add, not just recent, but basically anything that's like meant polyphonically or in parts, anything that has to be arranged in parts to remain itself. Do I want to say that? Let I'll gloss over it for now. Um, basically most songs are not just a tune. Most songs have like all I'm just playing random notes, but what I mean is that most songs, most pieces of music, most recorded music especially, you've got a drum track and you've got a guitar track and you've got a vocal track, and when you take one out you can still tell what it is, but you know that something's missing. And if you isolate just the one track, like if you take just the vocals and you remove all the instruments, it doesn't work anymore. It kind of sort of works because you remember where the instruments are supposed to be, and you just kind of pretend they're there to enjoy it more, like as a cope. But that's not that's not ideal. Um, so if we're talking about melody, because here's my pet peeve with music theory as a whole, or specifically Western music theory, if you want to be pedantic. I don't know the music theories of any other cultures, just haven't really been exposed or bothered to learn. But music theory apparently is all about chords. That's what everyone wants to teach you about. It's just like, okay, you got a 1 and you got a 3 and a 5. Or a 5. Wait, yeah, 1, a 3, and a 5. It's like, okay, cool. And then you can change stuff based on that. You can have sevenths, and they name all the different intervals between notes that you can have in vague reference to how far away they are on a scale, but practically they're named as intervals so that you can make chords out of them and transpose those chords across keys because of equal temperament and stuff. Um, but I don't like chords. I've never really understood chords. It's taken me uh, a lot of difficult, so not difficulty really, but it's taken me years of learning what's expected and trying to pick out what's not to fit in, um, to understand what sounds good as a chord and what's bad. I mean, some stuff like clearly there's something off. Like I don't know, maybe there's not something off there. Like is this more off or is that more off or is like clearly this is nicer than so that's something, but like it gets harder the more notes you layer on. And so it gets to the point. Basically, it seems like the study of chords is relying on an objective sense, a taste that I don't have or I didn't have. I had to acquire the taste of chords to understand them. I it's not a native language. It's like a third language. It's something that I can kind of pick up on when I'm really listening for it, but generally I don't have to pay attention to it, and so I just don't because it's so much work and it doesn't really matter. That's my personal experience with chord-based music theory, um, and um, a lot of that is probably a lot of that might be related to autism. Um, I'm not sure whether I'm autistic or not because I have not gotten official diagnosis, and I probably won't get one for um, financial reasons and practical. Just it's so much work to go out there and have somebody tell you something that won't um, affect much because you already like kind of suspect it anyway. I wouldn't. Um, You see, that's the thing. I know that the experiences that autistic people have with uh, that kind of stuff, with understanding these systems of communication that people have and don't really acknowledge, is that's something I relate to. Um, the way I think, I don't know. Suffice to say, I'm probably autistic, and one of those languages that just doesn't come naturally to me is chords. But melodies do, or at least I've had the language of melody ingrained into me much harder than chords. You can play a chord. Does that tell a story? To me, it doesn't tell a story. To me, it's just a single piece of note. It's a single note. If you do that, here's what I hear. It's exactly the same to me. I'm being hyperbolic. I can tell that there are other notes there, but like the difference between and I cannot tell the difference between those two. Like literally, I was listening and I knew that it was different because I was the first one I was moving the other two fingers. I was doing like this, and the second one I was going like this. I was keeping my other two fingers in the same place for the second one and moving them to the first one, and I knew that, and I still couldn't tell the difference in how it sounded. I don't know if this is a universal experience. I always thought it was, um, but it might not be, and I do not understand the world. This is also a tangent. Um, Perhaps. What was I going to say? Yeah. Anyway, melodies are not like this. Is very different from like one is going up and then down, the other is going down and then up. Like it's just like a sentence or or a story or anything or a picture. It's like a picture. You're literally you're drawing out like a graph of where the notes go, and I like that. It's a simple little line that goes up and down in an interesting way, and that's that's pleasant and that's discernible. It's understandable to me. You know what's almost as discernible? Two melodies that are going in similar directions. Let's go back to if I do that. What I'm really doing is I'm going, but also, but also, I'm doing all three of those at the same time. That's all the chord is. That's all. When you move a chord like that, you're really making melodies. Each note of the chord is the next note of a corresponding melody, because you can't just have a song that's all chords. I mean, you can, but it would be very boring, and I suspect not just for me. We all like melodies, but people are people who see music theory as chords, people especially who um, are brought up learning piano and guitar are the main culprits because they're like the most common instruments, and they're coincidentally much easier to play chords on in an idiomatic way. When I mean idiomatic, that's kind of like a software or user experience term, and idiomatic means like natural to the program itself, natural to the interface. Um, if you want to move a car backwards, or move a car backwards. The idiomatic way to do that is to go forwards first and turn around and loop around and go do that, or to move, or to use reverse gear. The not idiomatic way would be to put it in neutral and then push it over with your hands. That's not only inefficient physically, but it's not the way the car was designed to be used. Similarly, you can do it and it's fine for the car probably. I don't know how neutral works. I never use neutral. Who uses neutral? Um, but but the idea that's less than that's less than the car is made for. Similarly, to play a single note melody uh, on a piano or keyboard instrument like this is um, it's within the intended usage, but why would you do that when you could do? See, well, I don't know how to do chords. I don't know how to play multiple notes at once with my hands, really. So I just kind of default to playing a melody. Because for me, a keyboard instrument is a bunch of buttons that are each mapped to notes, and I play them as if I were fingering a violin. Uh, Except because that's what the instrument that I was forced to learn how to play, and I got pretty good, I think. Some some people certainly thought so, um, and that's what that is. My brain just did a reset, and it's 22 minutes into the video, and I haven't managed to explain at all why that's my favorite song. Let's try again. Some melodies are stronger than others. Some melodies, um, I think any melody in existing forces you to follow the melody. People follow patterns. Some people can follow chords. I can't. But you follow melodies. We all follow melodies, hopefully. Maybe some people don't follow melodies, in which case I'm really sorry for you. Um, but right. When you follow a melody, it paints a picture in your mind. It's like turtle graphics, but it is painting a picture. And some pictures are just really satisfying. And for me, the picture painted by is really satisfying. It's like um, I don't know what shape to like compare it to. It's just it feels big and strong and wholesome, and it's going to blast away the haters with facts and logic. See, the phrase facts and logic, it's a meme, um, because it's been used badly by particular people, but it really, like, facts is the opposite of being wrong, and logic is the opposite of thinking wrong. I like facts, and I admire logic. I I wish that I was facts and logic. I used to think I was, and it was revealed to me that I wasn't, and that made me very sad. And that's what I aspire to be still. And I think that's what you should too, but apparently other people want other things, like society. We shouldn't have society. We should just we should just have facts and logic. But what is the point? I don't know what the point is. That's one of the things I'm trying to figure out. But the point of this video is that that's my favorite song, and that's kind of why, or what my thought process as to why, um, or how. And leave your favorite song in the comments down below. And I'm probably not going to rate them because, okay, here's my opinion about your favorite song. Get ready. Um, it's okay. It's probably a bop or maybe even a banger, but not favorite song material. That's it. That's all I gotta say. Favorite song material should be something that you like genuinely look up to. I mean, a lot of people, especially adults, don't have favorite songs, and I respect that. Like, if you haven't found that song that's just gonna be perfect for you, good for you giving up the chase. Like, if your favorite, it's better to have no favorite song than to have your favorite song change every unit of time. Um, like that's what that is. That's what I think of that, and that's why. Um, that's why. I hope that if you haven't found a favorite song yet, you will at some point, because let me tell you, flipping through radio stations, accidentally hitting on the classical one, and hearing it's really just the best feeling in the world. With a sudden, it's like it's like having God appear in front of you, just randomly. It's 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 such a good feeling, and I think everybody should get to experience it. So let me just stop the video so I stop taking up your time, and let you get out there and go do that. Bye.